This gentleman and I have been on a journey towards becoming ministers together for quite some time, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience to get to banter in class and to banter in life and to just have this wonderful friendship and camaraderie. Please welcome Doug LeBeau.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this thing on? Good morning. Wow, I have to follow Reverend Nancy B. Wow. She's so good and so clear, and I feel like you're talking to me too. And first of all, good morning and welcome back to me. And I mean, I'm so glad to be back from this trip that we took, this 3,800-mile, 2-week journey across America. We sang a little bit about the places that we went to this week in Route 66 at the beginning. And I just first of all want to say, thank God that Robbie Gilman is back and healthy. Yes, Robbie had surgery 2 weeks ago while we were gone, and the man has the most amazing recuperative powers. Originally when he had surgery a couple of years ago, they said he'd be out for 6 weeks, and after 2 weeks he was chomping at the bit to get back, and so I was just counting this time that it was just going to be 2 weeks. And also thank you to Wayne Moore for covering for Robbie while Robbie was in the hospital, and thanks to our 5th member of the NoHo Arts Center, Ken Francis, for covering for me 2 weeks ago. He couldn't because of his regular gig last week at the Granada Hills Center for Spiritual Living. And welcome to our Independence Day celebration. Independence, and like Reverend Nancy said, we always have the freedom to choose spirit. We always have the freedom to choose that which is the best choice in every moment for us. And whether we do that or not, it's really up to us and up to the way that we train our minds and the lives that we've lived maybe before we came into this teaching, this science of mind. We all know that the science of mind, the way that this spiritual universe works, is working regardless of whether we're choosing to consciously participate in it or not. But it certainly is a better experience for me when I, as Dr. Holmes teaches us, direct the law, when I tell my life how I want my life to be and allow it to manifest through the law, allow it to manifest through spirit. So, Independence Day, we call it Independence Day, the 4th of July. Wikipedia says it's a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the adoption of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, 235 years ago, declaring independence from the Kingdom of Great Britain. Independence Day is commonly associated with fireworks, parades, barbecues, carnivals, fairs, picnics, and family reunions. Independence Day is the national day of the United States of America. And last Friday was the National Day of Canada. I don't know if you know this, but my wife Sharon is a Canadian. She's a U.S. citizen, but she's born in Canada, and our children both have U.S. citizenship and Canadian citizenship. So happy Canada Day last Friday. That's their national day, and happy Independence Day to us. So it's celebrated by going to family reunions. We just came back from a family reunion. 3,800 miles, 1,700 miles there and 1,700 miles back. And next week, my very dear friend and prayer partner, Reverend Donna Michael, is going to be here. And she's going to be our musical guest, and also she's going to give the talk. And she's fabulous. Do not miss her. She is also going to do this great, I've seen her do this work. It's astounding, this radical forgiveness workshop that she's going to give on Sunday afternoon. So if there's still a couple of slots left, I would sign up for one of those slots. I'm going to be there. I know Sharon's going to be there. Anyway, so we went on this family reunion trip, and I joked with Donna before, the law is always listening. I joked with Donna before we left, and I said, yeah, we're getting out our hip waders because we're going to be wading into that sea of family of origin stuff. The law is always listening. And I shouldn't have said that, but because, as Reverend Nancy said too, spend a week or two with your family, and sometimes old stuff comes up, and, I was practicing every day. I was getting out my Science of Mind magazine, And I was getting out my Ernest Holmes every day and doing my absolute best to stay on track. Because you see, that's my choice. Every day to start my day with the good work that we're studying, because stuff does come up during the day. And we need guidance. And, on this trip, so here's the story. We drove to Missouri and Arkansas. And it's a long trip. We took 4 days to get there. We drove LA to Kingman, that was one day. Kingman to Albuquerque, that was another day. Albuquerque to Oklahoma City, that was another day. And we stopped and saw the Oklahoma City Memorial. Fantastic. And then we went to Branson, Missouri, where we spent a week with our family. And then the whole family went to Arkansas for our niece Sarah's wedding. And then we drove back. And we drove back Arkansas to Amarillo, Texas in one day, and then Amarillo to Flagstaff, Arizona, and then home. It's a long trip. We had taken another road trip in 2003 in an RV, and our easternmost point on that trip had been Albuquerque. So anything after Albuquerque on this trip was absolutely new territory for us, and we hadn't been there before, so we relied on our navigation system in our car to get us everywhere. We just put the address in, and it would take us right. How many of you have nav systems in your car or on your iPhone? Or these global positioning systems are fantastic. GPS, Global Positioning System, it's a satellite-based space system that always tells you exactly where you are within like 9 feet, 2 meters, 3 meters. And it knows, in any weather condition, it knows exactly where you are. And so all of the highways, roads, roadways, restaurants, gas stations, everything are programmed into these GPS systems, and all you have to do is put in your destination and then get out of the way and let the GPS tell you how to get there. The GPS does the rest. It tells us how to get there, and if we follow its guidance, we usually get there in a very direct route, and usually it tells you exactly how long it's going to take you. It's going to take you from LA to Kingman, 6 hours and 47 minutes, and it counts down, and you get there in the exact amount of time that it tells you to get there, when we depend on our navigation system. Now, what happens when we don't depend on our navigation system? Well, our navigation system in our Honda, when we're off track, it tells us that it's recalculating our trip. You can go anywhere you want. It'll still get you to your destination, but sometimes, instead of going this way, you end up going this way, and this way, and this way, and this way. And so even though you may get to your ultimate destination, it may not be a direct route, and you may actually be on some roads that have potholes on them. We saw some of those too. So we trusted our nav system. We depended on it absolutely. The American writer, editor, and author E.L. Doctorow, he wrote Ragtime and a lot of other books. He once wrote, "This trust is like driving a car at night. You can never see further than your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. This is because you trust that the road is there." It's a principle. The road is there whether you can only see the 200 feet with your headlight. You know that the road is going to continue. The title of my talk today is Dependence Day, which is obviously, I know, a play on Independence Day, our national holiday. And when the American colonists declared independence from England, they had this revolutionary idea for a new form of government called democracy. And it was something that they had never seen in their lifetime. In fact, true democracy hadn't really existed on this planet since about 500 BC in Athens, Greece. So they were trusting in something that they had never seen, something invisible, a principle that they wanted to live their life by, that they had to trust that by separating themselves from England and setting up a new form of government, that their life would be better, people governing themselves. It was a completely new concept. On our road trip, we absolutely depended on our GPS, and in everyday life, we can also depend on GPS, which is guidance provided by Spirit. That's our personal GPS, guidance provided by Spirit. Dr. Holmes writes, "The one seeking to demonstrate the power of spiritual realization in everyday affairs should believe in divine guidance." He should affirm that his mind is continually impressed with the images of right action, and that everything in your life is controlled by love, by harmony, and by peace, and that everything that we do prospers, and that the eternal energy back of all things animates everything which we undertake. We have to trust. We have to trust because when we do trust, we have that freedom that Reverend Nancy talked about to make decisions based not out of fear, but out of faith. Trust that all will turn out the way that it needs to for our highest good in any moment. My friend Reverend August Gold from New York, she stunned us all at the leadership conference a couple of years ago by saying, I don't care what it is, no matter what's happening to you, it's happening for you. And sometimes that's hard in a moment, driving down the highway and you hit a pothole, to wonder, why is that happening? You know, Sharon had a little accident with our van in November. She was in a parking lot and she was pulling out and she didn't see a post and she dented the side of the car. And when we took it in to the body shop guy, who's a great guy, he fixed the car, but he also discovered in the course of fixing the car that 3 of our 4 engine mounts in the car were rotten. And the engine was about to drop out and fall out of this car, still under warranty, for another 5,000 miles only. Engine mounts are $2,500, but by discovering it in that moment and taking it in while it was still under warranty, it was free. Everything that's happening to us is happening for us. So, our family drove backwards and forwards across this country on Interstate 40, which parallels Route 66, which is the song that we sang about this morning. And a lot of those roads, a lot of the way that we went, they're in the song. The lyrics of which are, winds through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City, sure looks pretty, you should see Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, darling, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino. Except for St. Louis, we went to all those places. I don't know about you, but when I'm on a road trip and I program those coordinates into the GPS and I just let it take me, then I can relax. I don't have to be thinking about when's my next exit, where am I going. It's going to tell me in plenty of time. In 3 miles, take the exit on the right. I got plenty of time between now and in 3 miles. Whenever that is, I have plenty of time. And I can just relax. And that's the experience that I want to have every day. Because, programming a destination into your GPS system is exactly what we teach in Science of Mind. You tell the GPS system, the Honda Nav system, whatever you have, your iPhone, you tell it where you want to go, and it takes care of the rest. If we're smart enough to get out of the way and allow it to take us the best route, the most direct route, we get there with no fuss and no muss, and then we could just sit back and enjoy the ride. That's what I want. I want to sit back and enjoy the ride. Now, how many of you know me personally? Okay, right? I have a quick temper. I don't have a lot of patience. And I have a tendency to get excited about things. These are my biggest lessons in life as a practitioner, as a minister, as a father, as a husband, as a friend. I like to think I'm a nice guy, but I notice that a lot of times I just kind of get, Sharon says I drink too much coffee, and it might be so. I do. Yeah, on this trip I was taking these Starbucks double shots to keep me awake. It's a long trip. But this is the trick. This is the thing. Stepping out of the way and allowing our guidance provided by Spirit to take over so that we can sit back and enjoy the ride. That's what I want every day. Dr. Holmes writes, we must trust absolutely in the law of God to bring about any desired end. As we learn to depend more and more upon the perfect law, we shall find that the outward things which are necessary to our good will be provided. Using our GPS system is exactly like the creative process that we teach in Science of Mind. We tell it what we want, and it gives us the desired destination or manifestation. So So on the highway of our life, we tell the law specifically what we want, and if I'm smart, I'll just get out of the way, and that's the toughest thing for me. So when I do allow Spirit to direct my course of life, my route down this highway of life, it's smooth sailing like Interstate 40. It's a beautiful road. It goes all the way across the country to Wilmington, North Carolina, and it's a super highway. You know, I don't know if you know this, but the highway system was created by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It's actually called the Dwight D. Eisenhower Interstate and Defense Highway System, because when he was a young lieutenant taking a convoy across the United States in about 1919, he realized that it was a terrible trip. They used to call it the Lincoln Highway back then. It was a terrible trip across the country, and he thought, wow, to really protect us from some foreign invader, we need a better way to get across this country. So when he was president of the United States 50 years later, he championed the interstate highway system. And our entire system of commerce today is dependent on that interstate system. Hotels, motels, grocery. You can't get tomatoes from Florida to California without the interstate system. Our entire system, it's about this smooth road. You can also go on Route 66 this whole way, which is kind of it's in disrepair. That's the potholes. It's your choice. As Reverend Nancy said, we're always at choice. So this weekend, Independence Day, let's just sit back and enjoy the Independence ride. And when we do, we'll be able to just relax, breathe it in, and trust in our GPS, our guidance provided by Spirit. Thank you. Namaste.